All right, let's talk about one of the biggest, most mind-bending concepts in all of physics, the singularity. We have this standard idea of what it is, but what if that's only scratching the surface? Today, we're diving into a completely different way of looking at it, one that reframes the singularity not as a cosmic dead end, but as the very engine that powers reality itself. You know, when you hear the word singularity, your mind probably jumps straight to the insane, crushing center of a black hole, right? Or maybe the very first spark of the Big Bang. It's always presented as this ultimate limit, the point where our science just stops, a place where the rules of the universe just completely fall apart. And yeah, that's pretty much the textbook definition you see right here. For about a century, that's been the story. The singularity is where things collapse. It's the end of the line. But what if it isn't? What if we've been looking at this whole thing completely backward? What if the singularity isn't a breakdown at all, but a breakthrough? Not some distant, violent event, but the silent, invisible axis that creates and sustains reality right here, right now, in every single moment. Now that is the radical new idea we're going to unpack. So to really get our heads around this, we have to step away from the usual image of black holes and look at how this new idea, often called continuity theory, stacks up against the standard model. And this, right here, really gets to the heart of it. On one hand, you have the standard view, the singularity as a total system failure. But on the other hand, in this new framework, it's seen as the absolute pinnacle function, an axis of perfect balance. It's not a point where reality is destroyed. It's the principle from which reality is created. Okay, so how on earth does that actually work? Well, to understand it, we have to completely reimagine the fabric of spacetime, not as a passive stage, but as this dynamic dance of opposing forces. Think of it like this. Spacetime has two key parts. There's a vertical direction, which is space. This is where potential is stored, like a kind of compressive strain. Then there's a longitudinal direction, which is time. This is where that potential gets released as motion and change, an expansive strain. And the singularity? It's not a place, it's the axis where those two forces, compression and expansion, are in perfect continuous balance. And that is the absolute key takeaway. The singularity stops being a destination and becomes a function. It's the underlying rule, the mathematical constant that's always turning potential into kinetic, space into time, and then back again. It is literally everywhere, all at once. Now, if you follow that logic, it leads to something even crazier. The idea that reality as we know it isn't some solid, constant thing. It's an oscillation, a hidden rhythm that's pulsing at an incredible speed. So, according to this theory, everything that exists is doing this kind of cosmic breath. In step one, things disappear as their energy gets compressed back into pure potential. In step two, they reappear as that energy gets released and manifests back into the world we see. And this isn't happening slowly, it's a constant flicker, faster than anything we can possibly imagine. And there are actually two layers to this rhythm. You've got that ultra-fast vertical frequency, that flicker of appearing and disappearing. That's the basic pulse of being. But nested inside that, there's a much slower horizontal frequency. That's the rhythm of evolution, growth, and change, the flow of becoming. Now, here's where this idea gets really powerful. The claim is that this one fundamental rule, this balancing act between potential and kinetic, isn't just for the cosmos. You can see it playing out at every single scale of reality. Let's start small, down in the quantum realm. Here, you could think of a wave's amplitude as its stored potential, its spatial quality. And its frequency? That's its kinetic expression through time. The two are just different faces of the same coin, balanced by that singular function we know as Planck's constant. Okay, now let's zoom out to life itself. The same rule seems to apply. A cell's physical shape, its structure, that's its stored spatial potential. And its metabolism, the constant flow of energy moving through it, that's its kinetic, temporal expression. Life is just a continuous, dynamic balancing act between the two. And now let's bring it all the way home, into our own minds. Think about it. A concept or a memory is a fixed form, right? It's potential. But the stream of your consciousness, the flow of your awareness moving between those ideas, that's kinetic. It seems even our own thoughts follow this universal pulse. So after all that, what does this actually mean for how we see the universe? What are the big implications of seeing everything as this dance of balance? Well, for starters, it means that matter, the solid stuff you can touch and feel, isn't really a fundamental thing at all. It's just a temporary ripple, a localized bit of tension in the fabric of the continuum. Everything that exists is just a momentary deviation from a state of perfect balance. And what's really fascinating is how this super modern idea echoes some very ancient wisdom. The Taoist stance of yin and yang, Spinoza's idea of a single reality with two sides, even Einstein's insight that mass and energy are interchangeable, they all seem to be pointing toward the same deep truth about a balanced, dualistic universe. And that brings us to the final and most powerful redefinition of them all. The singularity isn't a void. It's not an endpoint. It is the silent, perfectly balanced state of total potentiality, the infinite wellspring from which all of reality emerges, and to which it returns, moment by moment by moment. It really leaves us with a pretty wild thought to chew on. If this cosmic rhythm of compression and expansion, of potential and kinetic, is truly universal, then is every single breath you take in and out just a tiny, personal echo of the entire universe pulsing between existence and non-existence? Something to think about.